This is Kal Yafai, WBA Super Flyweight World Champion, and you're watching True School Sports.
Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, interesting story, as I'm reporting now that Kal Yafai, the now former WBA Super Flyweight Champion, he has broken his silence, his 2-week silence on Instagram and social media, and he has spoken about the Roman Gonzalez fight for the first time. So we're going to get into what Kal Yafai had to say about his devastating loss to Roman Gonzalez a couple weeks ago where he got stopped in the 9th round. Here's what Kal Yafai said. He said, I quote, "A couple of weeks ago, things didn't go my way in Texas. I learned a lot sharing the ring with Cholatito, who is a great fighter and the better man won on the night. I was a fan of him before I fought him and will continue to be so. Congratulations to him. People ask me what went wrong, but there's no point in talking about it publicly as it always sounds like an excuse. And at the end of the day, it doesn't change anything. The result is what matters. I know what I did and went wrong, and I have to redeem myself. Thank you to everyone who has messaged me before and after my fight. I appreciate them all, and thank you to everyone who has followed and supported my career up to now. And I promise I'll be back better and stronger than ever. And I look forward to becoming a 2-weight world champion." So there you have it, the man himself, Birmingham's very own Kal Yafai. So big shout out to Kal Yafai. You know, I think he's setting a great example right here. Because let's just call a spade, let's be real. We've had fighters like Deontay Wilder recently talk about, you know, take a devastating loss, much like Kal Yafai did, you know, similar fashion to where they're winning no more than a round at best in big championship fights, losing their undefeated record in devastating fashion to a fighter that's an all-time great. You know, for Wilder it was Fury, and for Yafai it was Gonzalez. But the difference between a guy like Kal Yafai and a guy like Wilder is Yafai's setting a good example here. He's just being blunt and truthful about the matter. He's saying, look, the better man won on the night, and I'm not even gonna talk about what went wrong because it'll sound like an excuse, even if it's not. So I actually respect that because he's going out of his way to not even say anything that looks like an excuse, because that's the kind of character, that's the kind of man Kal Yafai is. So respect to Kal Yafai. I've had the honor to know Kal and get to know him just on a, you know, in a very small level over the last 3 or 4 months, just being in contact with him since I went to the UK. And I always have love for Kal because when I went to the UK, I had 5 or 6 interviews scheduled with a lot of fighters, and he was the only one that didn't flake on me. And for that, I always love Kal Yafai. And I'll be honest with you guys, I've been covering Kal Yafai on YouTube for about 3-4 years now. And with Kal Yafai, it's like, you know, early on in his career, when he first had the belt, early in his title reign, I thought that Eddie Hearn had him in a British witness protection program, that Eddie Hearn didn't want Kal Yafai to fight the best. But you know what? He ultimately wound up fighting one of the best fighters of the last 15 years. So I can't really. I had to take all those thoughts I once had about Kal and throw them in the trash can, because there's great fighters. I mean, great fighters. Like Naoya the Monster Inoue, arguably the pound for pound king of boxing at the moment, and he had multiple opportunities to fight Roman Gonzalez, and he didn't want no smoke. He moved up twice to avoid him. Okay, that's reality. Kazuhiro Ioka early in his career, great fighter Kazuhiro Ioka. You know, one of Japan's first 4-weight world champion. He had a chance to fight Cholatito early in his career. Didn't want no smoke. So the fact that Kal at least got in the ring with Roman Gonzalez, and I know it wasn't the prime Roman Gonzalez, but it was still a Cholatito that was motivated and focused to prove the doubters wrong, it says a lot about him as a fighter. And at least with him, like, look, I don't call a guy a champion because he has a belt, because there's plenty of champions in boxing who are just a product of good matchmaking, circumstances, and really aren't that great as far as fighters. So, you know, that's what it is. But Kal Yafai, to me, he's behaving like a champion here. So to me, in my eyes, he's always a champion. And I told him that because I saw Kal Yafai after the fight. He had his sunglasses on. He had his little Dallas Cowboys hat on. You know, his eyes was a bit lumped up. I approached him. I asked for an interview. He said he didn't want to do it. which is understandable because it was the first loss of his career. It's very devastating. He wanted to kind of collect himself and gather his thoughts. I fully understood where Cal was coming from, and I would have loved to have interviewed him after the fight, but I 1,000% understand where he's coming from. But I told him in person. I told Cal at the Omni Hotel in the lobby, just before he went up to this hotel room. I told Cal, I said, "Listen, man, hey, you fought one of the all-time greats tonight, but I respect you, bro, and I'm wishing you nothing but like success, massive amounts of success for your career." And I told him when I go to the UK again that his gym will be the first one I stop by. So I'm a Kal Yafai supporter. I want him to do well moving forward. You know, it's just in that fight, I think tactically he fought the wrong fight. Like he fought the wrong fight. He tried to sit there and bully Gonzalez, and maybe he was thinking that his size and his youth, or him being younger and having less wear and tear on the body, would eventually wear down Chocolatito in the later rounds. But he just wasn't able to back him up, and he wasn't precise enough of a puncher on the night to do what he was trying to do to Gonzalez. You see what I'm saying? So he'll make the adjustments. Only he knows what went wrong. But this right here is class personified. This right here is behaving like a champion, because a belt don't make you a champion. All right, how you conduct yourself, how you fight in the ring, how you prepare for the fights. That's how we judge you on what a champion is. And like this is the low point of Kal Yafai's career. I mean, this is a guy that in the professional ranks of boxing, he's known nothing but winning. You know, whether you thought he's won all of his fights or not. You know, because I thought Israel Gonzalez should have got the decision against him. But regardless of that, he's someone that in his boxing career, on paper, has known nothing but victory. He's won world title fights. He's defended it multiple times. So when you lose like the way he did, it can be very draining emotionally. But I think Kal Yafai in his moment, in his darkest hour, even if nobody's gonna highlight it in boxing, I'm gonna highlight it, because I think, you know, in boxing, a lot of times people want to highlight the negative when something negative goes wrong. But how about positive? How about we highlight something positive? So that's what I'm doing right here. I'm not even sure how many views this video will get, because when I speak positive, nobody wants to acknowledge it about a fighter. But if I make a video right here now saying that Deontay Wilder is a disgrace to boxing and he's a cheater for having steel plates in his right hand, then I guarantee you that'll get views. But we're highlighting Kal Yafai right now, showing the world, showing the boxing world, showing the younger fighters beneath him that, hey, you know, if you lose a fight, don't even say anything that sounds like an excuse. You know, he didn't. And the thing I respect about Kal as well is that he didn't speak before, you know, emotionally he was ready to speak. You know, he didn't speak after the fight when I wanted him to, or any media wanted him to. He didn't speak a week later, you know, when he was back in Birmingham and he still had him. No, he took a couple weeks, probably he unplugged from social media, collected his thoughts, and then said things in a mature, calm, and respectful fashion. So all I can do is respect Kal Yafai. That's all I can do with him. As for what's next with his career, he actually revealed something right there in that statement. He said, "I look forward to becoming a two-weight world champion." And we all know Kal Yafai fights at 115. So that means that's probably the end of Kal Yafai's super flyweight campaign, and you can fully expect him to be moving up to the bantamweight division. And listen, Kal Yafai, I've seen him in person, and I've highlighted this before in previous videos, that he's big for the weight class. I mean, when I saw him in Birmingham at the gym, he was about walking around at least 135, 133, you know, because me and him are about the same, you know, size. I'm taller than him, and I probably walk around about the same way he does, but he's a bit shorter than me, and he's stockier than me. I'll give him that. So he's moving up to 118. It's gonna be a massive challenge for him. If we just look at the top 15 at 118, I mean, there's a lot of good fighters. There's Juan Carlos Payano still around. You got Joshua Franco, who's a good prospect. You got at the top, obviously, you have the champions like Casemiro, Inoue, Ubali. These are all strong fighters. You got Joshua Greer, Paul Butler, Jason Maloney, Raymar Caballo, Emmanuel Rodriguez. So there's a lot of interesting matches for Kal Yafai. I just think for me, and I'm just speaking from a pure boxing standpoint. You know, if he sees this video, you know, he's probably gonna say, "Well, what is this kid? What does he know about boxing?" But I think for Kal, one thing he's gonna have to learn how to do in his career, if he wants to be the best version of himself, is kind of box. He has to box how he did in the Luis Concepcion fight, Like box how he did in that fight. Use the angles, stick and move from the outside, counter punch. Just do those things. Because sometimes I think Kal Yafai, Matchroom put fighters in front of him where he could just walk them down and fight in close quarters. And like he won the world title against a good fighter and Luis Concepcion, a 2-weight world champion, and Luis Concepcion as the underdog. So you could even say that maybe Kal Yafai shouldn't have been champion in the first place, because a lot of people didn't even expect him to win that fight. But after he won the title, there wasn't a ton of I can't really put too many fights in memory where he boxed as beautifully as he did in the Concepcion fight. It was from then on, it was high guard, walking forward, fighting in the trenches. That's what Kal wanted to do, and that's what he did. And he did in the Gonzalez fights, and ultimately it costed him a lot. So I think it's got to get back to basics. He's got to do what he can to become a more precise puncher in close quarters, make his shots a bit more short and compact, because that's what costed him when he tried to walk down Chocolatito and fight that big man sort of a fight. So I'm interested to see if what I'm reading is correct in his Instagram post, and he's going to move up to 118. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, he's going to have his work cut out for him, and he's going to have to really be on his P's and Q's. But listen, I think it'd be good for him, because even before the Chocolatito fight, right? Even if we could go before that, his 2 fights before that against Jimenez and against Israel Gonzalez. I mean, the guy wasn't exactly turning in blinders of a performance. He was turning in, wins, yes, but some, they were lackluster. They left a lot to be desired. And you can kind of tell, like, the writing was on the wall that if he was going to keep fighting 115, that it wasn't going to be for much longer. So I think this move is coming at the right time for Kal Yafai, and I'm glad he's making the move at the right time. And I'm glad he's showing the boxing world, he's showing the fight fans, he's showing the younger fighters on the come up that, hey, you're not defined by a belt, okay? You can be a champion in victory, and you can damn sure be a champion in defeat. And listen, Kal Yafai was a champion in victory, but gosh dang it, he's proved himself to be an even bigger champion in defeat. And it's actually made my respect for Kal Yafai rise. And this story's a bit personal to me, because like I told you, before he said any of this, he was saying this stuff to me, saying some of the same things he said in his quotes to me after the fight. And that shows that Kal Yafai, psychologically, he's not a mental midget like a lot of these other fighters. So with that being said, you guys let me know what you think in the comments down below about what Kal Yafai said, and just him behaving like a champion in the darkest hour of his career. So yeah, leave your comments down below. Make sure you take the time to subscribe, and like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me. But I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.
This is Showtime, Sean Porter.
This is Aerosmith Jr.
Everyone, this is Jesse Vargas. You're watching True School Sports.
You're watching True School Sports.
And you're watching True School Sports. Stay tuned.